Welcome to the beginner's guide to getting water out of your basement. As you know, it's monsoon season here in Pennsylvania. As you can see from this clip, I have a little bit of water in my basement. Now there's three ways to get water out of your basement. First, plan A. Don't let the water in. The best way to have a dry basement is to have a dry basement. Unfortunately, a lot of old houses like this one are wet. So that takes us to plan B. Plan B is for the water to get out of your basement automatically. You have water over here. It's supposed to flow over to here into this drain. Then it either is supposed to go to your sewer, or in my case, it's supposed to go over here to the sump pump to be pumped out of the house. But again, in some houses, that doesn't happen. Why isn't it happening in my house? Well, I'll tell you why. This house is not properly graded. Water's supposed to flow downhill from this end of the basement to that end of the basement, but as you can see, it's pooling here. So, we've got to go to plan C, which is get the water out with a shop-vac and a dehumidifier. Plan C starts with the shop-vac. This is a small one. It's about 50 bucks at your local hardware store. Let me tell you a little bit about shop-vacs. You've got the main unit, the hose, and the top unit. What you do is you take the main unit, you plug in the top unit, and you put it right on top. Be mindful, it only goes on a certain way. It doesn't go on this way. See the little curve here? It goes on like that. And then there's usually two handles on the side that lock it in. Now for the hose. Now there's two places the hose can go in. The wrong one and the right one. If you put it in the wrong one, you've got yourself a leaf blower. If you put it in the right one, you've got yourself a vacuum cleaner. There's an on-off switch and you're ready to go. I didn't know this. A shop vac can vacuum up water, not just dirt. When you're vacuuming up water, you want to take the filter out or else it'll get real wet. So, I'm ready to suck. Now you want the wand attachment for maximum sucking. We're ready to go. We're going to push the on-off switch and vacuum it up. Now, did you see the hose barf up water? That means the shop vac is full, and you got to stop and empty it out. Here's how you empty it out. After you unplug the shop vac, take the top off, take the hose out. Notice how it's totally full of water now. I'm going to roll it to the drain or to the sump pump. Oh, sorry. Now let's talk about sump pumps for a second. Not all houses have one. Ours has one because we're in a flood area. Some houses will just have drains to the sewer. Ours has a sump pump. Notice how it has a little float on it. It's called a float switch. When it gets full and the water rises, it goes up and the switch turns on. And it is pumping water outside of the house. So you do that again and again and again and again until you get all the water out of the house. Now, you're not done yet. It's still really humid in this basement. A humid basement is a bad basement, I'll tell you why. Mold. Now, I don't know a whole lot about mold. My wife's a biologist, right honey?
Yes.
So this dark area might be mold. We're definitely going to spray this after everything dries out. One common misconception is this white stuff is mold. It's not. It's something called fluorescence. It does mean it's a moist basement, but the moisture is taking the salt out of the brick, and you're looking at salt right now, not mold. To prevent mold, you need a dehumidifier to drive your basement out. I didn't know anything about dehumidifiers, now I know a lot about dehumidifiers. The continuous button is for continuous operation. The turbo button is basically a high and low speed switch, and the arrow keys are up and down. It's a humidistat. A humidistat is like a thermostat except for humidity instead of temperature. I usually keep mine at about 80%, except in a flood situation, I put it on continuous. Here's the volume that it holds. Now that's not a whole lot of moisture. So what you really need to do is have your dehumidifier drain into your drain or into your sump pump. Most dehumidifiers have a standard hose connection on it. So you take a short garden hose or a laundry hose and follow directions to connect it and put it right into your drain or into your sump pump. So there's three ways to get water out of your basement. Plan A, don't let the water in at all. I obviously need to get a professional in here to stop that leak. Plan B, have the water get out of your basement automatically through proper drainage. That's probably going to cost a lot of money. Maybe I get a contractor in to properly grade my basement so the water flows all the way automatically to the sump pump. Plan C, if you don't have either of those two things yet, you've got to get the water out of your basement through using a shop-vac and a dehumidifier. That'll keep the basement nice and dry. Run the dehumidifier constantly at 80% after the water's out of the basement. Sure, it costs a little bit of money, but it's like an insurance policy. Don't take this as professional advice. I'm an amateur. This is just stuff that I learned along the way. So here's to a really dry basement, and we'll see you next time.